All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday night live stream here on Drums and Drams. If you're new here, my name's Cameron. If you're not new here, what's up? Welcome back. Good to see you. This is going to be a fun live stream tonight. We've got some really amazing whiskeys to drink, to talk about, new releases as well. One in particular that you guys saw on the intro screen there, but I'll throw it up again. This beautiful Lauralee 16-year. It's a bourbon sourced from MGP, part of the Maryland Heritage Collection. They've released a couple of ryes, and now they're getting into bourbon territory with this release. So I'm very excited to try that. And then at the end of the stream, I guess we're on the second half, I'm going to be doing a blind flight. So it's been quite a while since I've done a blind flight here on the channel. I've been excited to get back to doing it because I've been talking a lot of trash to Dan Shook on the Bourbon Junkies. And I was like, I better put my money where my mouth is and do a blind flight sometime here soon so I can at least prove that I can hopefully still smell and taste things. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but that is what we're doing tonight. What is up, Jeb? I'm not new here. My name is Jeb. Uta, good to see you, and Jeff Perkins as well. Guys, as you pop in here, hit the like button. Say hello in the chat, please. I want to know who is hanging out this evening. It would mean a lot if you would spend your evening here, or at least part of your evening. I always appreciate seeing some familiar faces and some new ones. All right, so let's get to it right away. Thanks. I don't know if I have any faith in me, Uta. It's been quite a while since I've done a flight. Let me do a couple of quick announcements here at the beginning. Before I do that, I am going to pour out a little Maker's Mark, and if you know me, you know that's weird. But in an effort to familiarize myself more with some shelf offerings that I haven't really gotten into in the last couple of years, I've been out buying like little 375s of common stuff, like Beam White Label, Makers. This is just straight up Maker's Mark, and other products like that. And I just want to familiarize myself with some of these that I haven't had really since I've been, let's say, seriously tasting whiskey, or as serious as this thing gets, right? So tonight I'm going to start off with Maker's Mark, and then, you know, maybe this will throw the whole evening off since I normally start with an Eagle Rare store pick before I do any tastings. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So anyways, let me know what you're sipping on in the chat. I'll go through a few announcements here at the beginning, and then we'll get right into the first 5-pour flight. All right, so cheers to you guys. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I kind of like that. Shoot. I have not had regular Maker's Mark since probably 2000 and... I say that like I'm going to say like 2002, like something really far in the past. No, probably like 2016 is the last time I had this, and it was just like getting drunk with a friend in California. Like it had nothing to do with understanding flavor profiles. So all the makers I've had from that point forward have all been like 46 cask strength, private selects, wood finishing, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of nice to revisit this, and I think maybe as I continue to taste this right now as an intro pour to the stream, I like this a lot more than any of the stave finish stuff. Like, I think that's maybe my issue with Makers, is a lot of the stave finishing that's going on. Maybe that's the part of it that gives me that funkiness. Alex, Throwback Thursday is not going to be every week. I can't promise a Throwback Thursday every week. Tuesday Taste Along, you know I love these alliterations. I can't get to these things every week, so today was going to be a Throwback Thursday review. That's actually part of the announcements I want to talk about. It was going to be a Larceny throwback today, A122, B522, just like the Elijah Craig video last Thursday, but I just didn't get around to it. So I've been dropping a lot of new videos, guys. I hope you've checked some of those out if you haven't. Two different Elijah Craig videos, the throwback from last Thursday, C922, which is doing really well, and then I dropped Heaven Hill 17 yesterday, I believe, and that one's doing really well. Next video is just going to be a full Larceny 2022 review, all right? So it's going to be C922, and then a comparison to the others throughout the year, and that's going to, I believe, drop this weekend. It should be Saturday. Keep an eye out for that. Sunday, probably at the latest. Then expect a Michter's 20 review after that, all right? So anyways, those are, I guess I'm straight into it here. I'm straight into these announcements. Guys, quick plug. Sorry about this. Drums and Drams Instagram. I hate to plug it, but I'm almost at 1,000 followers. Not that that really matters in the grand scheme. But if you haven't followed and you're on Instagram, go check that out, please. That would be awesome. And then finally, two final things. Boom, we got a giveaway tonight. All right, it's going to be 2 sample packs, so 2 winners this evening. I'll tell you what samples are going to be in there in just a second, but it's all ridiculously aged MGP bourbon and rye, okay? So I'm not messing around. You know I don't mess around on the sample packs, and I'll tell you what that's going to be in just a second. And then finally, last thing I wanted to say before I put the phone down, next Thursday is going to be my last stream for 2 weeks, or basically I'm taking a week off, but next Thursday is my 2-year channelversary. So I'm going to figure out a big bottle giveaway and try to figure out something cool to do for the stream. I don't know yet. If you have any ideas, let me know, but that is what next Thursday is going to be, guys. All right. Yeah, this standard makers, look, I actually kind of like this a lot. As just an easygoing everyday sipper, I am digging that way more than any of that finished stuff. I'm telling you. All right, guys, let me say hello to a few people here in the chat, and some super chats came in. Jeb, thank you, man. Heading to dinner, so I'll see if you're still on later. My Lauralee hasn't even shipped. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you one thing about Sealbox that is not my favorite. That is their shipping. Number one, my Lauralee label is, I mean, it's super small. These things are super small, but it's damaged because they don't wrap their bottles. They don't cling wrap them or whatever. They just put them in those cardboard shipping tubes and send them out. So a lot of my labels get all jacked up in shipping, and they also take forever. And then at one point with Sealbox, not to go on a tirade about them, but I had an order get destroyed in shipping. Like a bottle broke, and then they just destroyed the rest of the box, right? They wouldn't refund my shipping. I don't know, like they refunded the bottles and they wouldn't refund the shipping costs. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know, maybe that's common, but Wigmaster, what's up? Cheers with a Starlight pick, 112.8. Is that just a straight up bourbon pick? Yeah, I'm a Starlight fan. I am a fan. Daniel, what's up, man? And we've got Lauralee is so good. We're gonna find out right now. Will, thanks for being one of the first with the Lauralee review. Yeah, Will, I know you said you wanted to get some thoughts on that in the Patreon. I have a couple more Patreon comments I saw come through I need to respond to. It's just been a busy last day and a half. Oh, it is throwback with standard makers. Different kind of throwback. Woo! Uta's mixing it up. Maker's Cask, then onto Allardyce. You can't beat that. And now Ardbeg 10. Now you're stuck on Pete for the night, probably. What's up, Carl? ASW Fiddler, Georgia Heartwood, insanely good. Currently have Oban 14. You guys are living large. You got some great pours in the glass. JS, howdy. Gatsby, had Gatsby 2. What's up, Paul P? Yeah, Paul, I don't know. If you have the bell turned on, I guess maybe it's just a YouTube thing. I don't know. Yeah, Top Dog, maybe I'll do some top pours on the channelversary. Maybe that would be kind of cool. Thank you, John. Thank you. And Daniel, I don't understand why Sealbox stopped shipping to you guys. Keith, let me know what you think of the King's Ranch. That this is a new Old Forester bottle, guys. I've actually heard pretty consistently negative things online, but these are not people whose palates I know. All right, so Paul says there's still a pretty small operation of moving. Yeah, they've got to be moving a lot of bottles, but I'm sure because of that, they're probably pulling in some serious dough because they also mark up. Not like to secondary prices, but they do mark up their bottles quite a bit on new releases and stuff. So, yeah. And who knows what kind of, fees and taxes. I don't know what goes into having a shipping liquor business like that. I'm sure it's not easy and it's not the most convenient thing. There's probably a lot of hoops to jump through. So a lot of people want to know what's going on with this Lauralee. Oh, what is up, Darrell? Good to see you, man. And Cheech as well. Thank you, guys. Yeah, hit that like button. Let's get into it here. All right. So Makers is going away. And usually I would say, thank God Makers is going away. if this is any indication, drinking the standard, I have a cask strength down there. I'm excited because I think it's just the stay finishing that I don't like. So let's do this, guys. Carl says I get a chemical aftertaste on a Maker's product. Less on the 46, but it's still there. Yeah, see, I'm not getting that. Ooh, I can't wait for this. I'm so excited about this Lauralee, guys. I have more of an issue with the 46, Carl. Okay. Paul says one great thing about CO Box is they let you do the workaround. Yeah, I've told some people this. I've never needed it to do it myself, but I always encourage people to reach out and at least ask. Yeah, Andrew, Bourbon Outfitters, and which I don't know, maybe it's a bigger operation, who knows? And then Shared Pour is really good about shipping. I'll tell you that. Shared Pour is killing the shipping game. All right, guys, let's take a closer look again at this Lauralee bottle. I've got it in the glass right now, and what we have here, again, 16-year MGP bourbon. You can see the bottle count down here, 937. All right, this is cask strength at 97.8 proof. That 97.8 proof is the exact same proof as the Remus Gatsby Reserve. All right, check out the back label here. Aged in new charred oak. It even says distilled at Seagram's Lawrenceburg Distillery, Indiana. So we've got the old school name on there, Seagram's LDI. Bottled in Baltimore, Maryland. And there is the most important part right there, mash bill. All right, 75 corn, 21 rye, 4 barley. So we're looking at the lower rye bourbon mash bill from MGP, not the 36 rye that everybody, craps their pants about. I like them both. They both handle age pretty well in my experience. I tend to drink the 36% rye bourbon mash bill from MGP more often around the 10-year mark, like I'm thinking about Redemption High Rye Bourbon, stuff like that. Typically, I'm drinking cask strength around the 10-year mark. That's the most common bottling, I feel like, for that kind of stuff. Anything older, like this 16, I don't really have any experience with a lot of MGP bourbon that's quite this old. That said, before I get into tasting this, I just want you to see the other pours that I'm going to be comparing this to in this first hour of the stream. Remus Batch 5, Remus Repeal Batch 5, which is 13 to 16-year whiskey in the blend. So this is actually pretty damn comparable to this. I've got an OKI here at 97 proof. This is 97.8. Great proof comparison. This is only 10 years old. Only 10 years old, right? Okay, here we got Remus Volstead Reserve, 14 years old, bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof. So pretty close comparison there. And then here's an even more interesting one, which is the New Riff 15, which is 15-year MGP, again bottled in bond at 100 proof. So these are the 5 whiskeys I'm going to be looking at. Obviously, Lauralee is the main focus, but these are going to be great comparisons. What's up, Matt? ADHD whiskey in the house. Okay, guys, this is interesting. Oh, wow. I'll get to the chat in a second, y'all. This smells like Four Roses. This Lauralee, it smells way higher proof than 97.8. Yeah, to me, this is coming off like 105 to 110 on the nose because there is an insane amount of bright herbal and pepper spice on this thing. I mean, yeah, I'm really going to be curious to check some of these others out on the nose. I'm going to go ahead and get small pours made of each of them and just let that Lauralee sit in the glass for another second. But I am kind of shocked by that nose. It smells like a Four Roses pick with a little, well, I don't want to say a little, with quite a bit of age on it. I'm going to come back to it here. Jay Skaggs says, no Redwood Haystack. I actually don't own a Redwood Haystack. I have a few samples, but they're all finished. And so I didn't want to throw finished. I think I have a Cabernet and a port finish. didn't think that this would be the best time to throw a finished sample into the mix. Wow, guys, I'm telling you. Okay. This is not at all what I expected on the Lauralee. And I don't know yet if that's a good or a bad thing. And I have 2 of these. So at the end of this, you know, in my head, it's like, am I going to hang on to this as a backup, my second Lauralee, or am I going to trade it off for something that I might enjoy a little bit more? That's kind of where my head's going to be at. Maybe the decision I'll come to at the end of this. All right. So what I'm getting on the nose here, like I said, it's just, it is so much heavy pepper. Pepper and herbal spice. Think of like an OBSK. It's like an OBSK or an OBSF, right? So F is going to give you that, I believe, that kind of minty or floral thing. I'd have to go back and look at those mash bills. But like an OBSF or an OBSK, this smells like that on the nose. It's coming off, like I said, around 105-ish proof, not that 97. It's like 105 to 110. And the 2 most prominent notes below that spice, number 1 is heavy, heavy vanilla ice cream. And number 2 is orange marmalade. So a lot of times, let's take MGP out of the equation real quick. And let's just talk old whiskey. You know, Woodford Very Fine Rare. I don't really know how old that actually was. But let's think about that. Think about Russell's 2003. I believe it was Russell's 03. The really low proof 89.5. A lot of these lower proof, let me think how I want to say this. A lot of these lower proof old whiskeys have an orange marmalade note on them, and it just kind of naturally develops. Now, if you add MGP back into that equation, a lot of times we get candied orange on MGP. At least I do, and I know other people have talked about that as well. As that ages, it's going to become a little bit creamier, a little bit more vanilla, a little more of this orange marmalade thing. So to me, this is like a Four Roses pick on the surface with its spice. That's what jumps out of the glass. Right below that, I'm getting really nice aged bourbon notes. One thing I'm not getting is like a huge body to the smell. It's spicy. It's kind of in your face in that way. But there doesn't feel like there's a big body. It feels delicate underneath that spice. Yeah. It's a nose that you can kind of. I feel like you could sit with this for a while and try to figure out what's going on here, because there are layers. Huh. Paul's MGP slumming it with 6-year Remus pick. I actually have never had a 6-year Remus pick. I would have picked up Matt's, the ADHD whiskey pick. I absolutely would have picked it up, but I am tapped out right now in the whiskey budget. I think it might be at least another month till I can drop some coin, unless I'm trade away some bottles or something. Huh. I am getting a lot of wood on this, but it's not, at 16 years old, it's not as kind of funky as you would think a 16-year-old bourbon might be. It maintains a lot of fruitiness, and in my mind, that fruitiness is centered around an orange note. There are darker fruits in here, for sure. There's a nice foundation, but to me, the prominent fruit note is that orange. All right, I gotta taste it, and then I'll go back to the nose. Ooh. Holy crap. That drink's like 105 to 110 proof also. So that's a good sign to me. Yeah, that's a really good sign given that this is 97.8 and that is cask strength. I'm happy that this has a level of spice and that it's not a super flat whiskey. That's a good thing. So for those of you wondering out there, if you have a bottle, you haven't popped it, so far good signs. It's not perfect. Like, this is not a bottle that I would be itching to pull the trigger on at $400 secondary or something like that. It is not one of those bottles. It doesn't have like the wow factor. But I would really love to compare this to the Remus Gatsby, which I have not yet tried. I'm hearing things about the Remus Gatsby that it's flat, it's not good, it's dry, all these kinds of issues with it. This thing is not that. So I'm hoping that if that's true about the Remus Gatsby, that this is on a different level, which it seems like from what I've heard that might be the case. Top Dog, what's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. I'm in it if Paul's not here. Yeah, I haven't seen Paul tonight. That's okay. He probably needs a night off from dropping some bank in the live chat. Paul is so crazy, man. Thank you. Thank you, Top Dog. So, I will catch up on a lot of these chats, but I'm gonna be just real selective real quick as I see a few things that I want to highlight. Jared, what's up, man? Want to say hello to Jared. Jay Skaggs, sounds like an old scout pick from around 15 to 16. Let me ask you this. I don't know if Alex Halverson is still in here. Alex was in here in the stream a little bit ago. He actually, one of his samples that he recently sent me is an old scout pick. It's an 11-year, what is C and B? Cork and barrel? Is that what that is? Anyways, if this is from around that time period, Jay Skaggs, if you know, let me know, and I'll happily pour this and compare it. I could put that in the flight as well. That might be a good use for that sample in this comparison. Jeb is drinking some King Ranch. Oh, it's more along the lines of what he wishes Elijah Craig toasted. Interesting. What's up, Amy? Oh, Dunny, nice catch on the B520. Good work on that. Yeah, so... All right. I'm going to do one more sip of this. So, I really like the notes in this whiskey. The one thing that I'm noticing right now is that the palate is pretty short, and the finish, the flavors in the finish are pretty short as well. The spice lingers on for a very long time. So if you like spicy whiskey, you want something that drinks overproof, and especially if you maybe like that Four Roses profile, obviously you got to like the MGP profile. This will hit all of those things for you. If you want a whiskey that's like you spent $225 on, and you want it to be big and bold in kind of like a viscous way and a mouthfeel way, this isn't quite it. And I mean, frankly, at 97.8 proof, I think we should all kind of temper our expectations a little bit on the mouthfeel. Like, I do give this a little bit of a pass, even though it was a super expensive bottle. I'm willing to be lenient on that fact because it does have such a great spice profile. I always talk about that being a pet peeve of mine when whiskey is overly spicy without body. But in this case, when you have a whiskey that's at cask strength, there's nothing they can do about that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's 16 years old, so you're probably going to go ahead and bottle it. I am giving it a little bit of a pass. All right, Jeb's saying, I know your thoughts on it need some time to open up. And my thoughts on that, for those of you out there that haven't heard me talk about it, I believe in a whiskey opening up and changing over time, but I also believe that I want it to come out of the bottle and be like hell yes or hell no. I don't want to open a bottle and say, this will be cool in 6 months, you know? I want whiskey to come out of the bottle really good, and maybe that's asking too much, but I don't know. Jay Skaggs says, it might be this Old Scout pick. Those 10 to 11 year bottles dried up after 2017 or so. So pour a splash. All right, I'll do it. I actually don't have, I don't have any more clean glasses in this style. So let me grab a Glen real quick. My dishwasher is running right now to clean some glasses. I mean, frankly, I'm using 10. Well, this will be the 12th glass tonight, so that's kind of just too much. So we'll get a little bit in here. A little nip in the glass. I want to leave enough for another tasting some other time. All right. Copper Wolf 87 with a $20 super chat. Thank you. And this reminds me that I need to tell you guys what exactly is going in tonight's giveaway. I'll do that in just a second. But thank you for the super chat. I got you in for 4 entries to what that giveaway is, which I promise it's not going to disappoint. Paul P. 2. Gotcha. Saw you did a gig at the Eastman Theater. I lived in Rochester for 18 years. Great stage in history. Paul, absolutely. Yeah, so I did my grad work. I did my master's degree, basically, at Eastman. And the performance that you saw probably would have been the percussion concerto written by Jennifer Higdon that I played there. That's over on the music YouTube that I have. And that was, what a great hall, man. And what a great hall, like as a student, to win the concerto competition, play the solo in that hall. It's just, that was a really, really cool experience. So it's awesome that you checked that out, man. And of course, like, there are so many Rochester things we could probably relate about, you know. Although it was really kind of changing over when I was there. They were doing a lot of work downtown to kind of clean it up. Matt, I was actually thinking someone might say something about that. He's trying to catch my refrigerator. Thanks, Matt. I got you in for 2, man. All right, guys. So real quick. Oh, Jesus. That Jay Skaggs, that Smooth Ambler pick. Okay. That's Alex Halverson. I don't know if you're still here. That's a serious freaking pick, man. Tonight's giveaway is going to be a 1-ounce sample of 8 different whiskeys, okay? And there are 2 winners. You have 2 chances to win. Everything you see on the table is up for grabs, 1 ounce of each. And I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of the Volstead left. I have an extra in the basement. I'll crack it open if I run out. All right, so this is an OKI 10-year, Remus 5, which many of you probably have. The Lauralee, I'm tasting right now, Remus Volstead, and a New Riff 15 MGP. The other 3 samples are all 3 ryes in the Maryland Heritage Rye series. Sherbrooke, Sherwood, Mount Vernon. So those are your 8 picks. Nothing younger than 10 years, and it's all MGP. And most of it is around 14, 15 years old. All right, so that's the giveaway tonight. Let's keep digging in. So I've got over here the Lauralee, and here is that. This is just an 11. It's an 11-year Smooth Ambler pick from, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. It is significantly darker than the Lauralee. I don't know the proof. All right, so proof could be an issue. It's significantly darker, a little bit rubbery, a little bit of an umami, like savory kind of note to it. But it just remarkably darker. Barrel char. A lot more grape, blackberry, dark purple fruit notes. And the Lauralee, when you come back to it, it smells like potpourri. All of that, the spice I was talking about, the herbal notes, in a comparison like this, not only do I get that orange marmalade, vanilla, 4 roses, herbal, and pepper spice, but I'm also now getting like this really distinct potpourri smell. It smells like Thanksgiving. Wow. I was not getting that before. This is why I think side-by-sides are so important. And that Smooth Ambler pick couldn't be very high proof. It's hitting around like that 97 to 100 mark. Same thing there. You know, not a real big, bold palate to it. Delicious flavor profile, but just it's heavy, but it's not all encompassing, if that makes sense. You can tell it's age, you can tell there's something going on there, but it's not like surrounding the palate and hitting all sides of, you know, of the mouth and all that kind of stuff. Back to Lauralee. The spice on Lauralee is unbelievable. Yeah, and that proves it in that comparison. It is a lighter palate overall, lighter profile, but holy shit, the spice. Keith Thompson, arm has been twisted and he is in the giveaway. Awesome, man. Thank you for the 2 entries. I appreciate it. Top Dog's in again until Paul gets here. Thank you, Top Dog. I got you in for 4 more. Appreciate you. Travis, evening camp. Congrats on your chair. Oh, you mean like the position in the orchestra, I think. Yeah, you know what's funny is like when you're in band in high school and middle school and people are like, I'm first chair. Like that's what it is. It's the professional version of being first chair. So it is a little bit nerdy, but that's okay. Paul, thanks, man. Yeah, Eastman was that was one of the hardest things I've ever done was my 2 years at Eastman. Good Lord. Top Dog, if you guys look up Cameron Leach on YouTube, I'll be the first person that pops up if you want to see any of the music stuff. Or you can just look this up. I'll just throw it in the chat real quick. See Leach Music. If you look that up, you can get to my website, which hasn't been updated in too long because of the pandemic, but that's okay. Oh, All View Liquors is in the house, who is responsible for this Lauralee bottle. So thanks for checking this out. And you're absolutely welcome for the review. I really like this bottle, and I think you guys did a stream with 21090 that I need to go back and watch, because I'd love to hear more about, in particular, this bourbon. I know what happened with the rise and the blending and the 3 profiles, which those are fantastic, but I'd love to hear more about this bourbon. All right, let's start some comparisons. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start over here with the OKI. This is a 10-year OKI, 97 proof, so basically the same proof as the Lauralee. I'm going to beef up my Lauralee. Ooh, say it, don't spray it. I'm going to beef up the Lauralee pour just a little bit and then start rapid-fire comparisons down the line for these MGP bourbons, and then hopefully right around 9 o'clock, maybe a little before, maybe a little after, we will get into the blind flight of the evening poured by my very tricky wife, Sarah. All right? Wow. All right. So this is the OKI 10. If you guys are wondering, it's batch 27. Really light, like extremely muted and flat on the nose. It smells... It's a single note, which is just grape syrup. Grape syrup, but it's dull. I mean, this is a pretty typical thing that I've dealt with this whiskey. It's just very dull. A nice single note whiskey, but nothing special. Back to the Lauralee. Yeah. Very, very floral, very effervescent. It just jumps out of the glass. So... OKI on the palate. OKI is definitely better on the palate. The nose was very flat. Palate has also a disproportionate amount of spice from what I was expecting. I'm getting like stewed apples. That grape syrup note I talked about. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of pepper spice. But that's it. So if you wonder whether or not this bottle, which people pay $450, $500 for these now, Lauralee smacks the shit out of that bottle, in my opinion. All right, so that's a good thing for me. Alvi says, would love to come on. Love the honest reviews. This was a blend of 6 barrels, low entry proof. Okay, that explains a lot, I think. Yeah, I would love to have you on. Whoever wants to come on, I'm sorry that I don't know everybody's name that was involved in the whiskey, so I'm not sure who I'm talking to, but I would love to make something happen. So maybe I can find you guys on Instagram or something. Let me know what the best way to get in contact, because I'd love to do a full tasting of all the Maryland Heritage stuff or anything else, however you guys want to do it. Have just a nice conversation as well. All right. Let's go now. Let's go to the Remus 5. I think that is a good... I know it's in order here, but I think that's a good one to go to next. Okay, this is Justin Jarvis, and it says Seal Box was $230. Drug City Liquors and all of you charged $200. Yeah. $230 was. I mean, look, it's 16-year MGP. Whether it's $200 or $230, the price is right. And especially when you consider these go for $450 to $500 these days, and that's craziness. And then you had this. It's still on secondary somehow was only like $150. Like what? I don't understand, people. Okay, so let's check out Remus 5 now in comparison. J Skaggs, this is the Lauralee is 21% rye mash. The Remus 5 is pretty much half and half in the blend, let's say. 60-40, with 60 going to the 36 rye. So the one thing that I'm getting off of Remus 5 that I have not gotten so far from the Lauralee and from the OKI and also from the Old Scout, the Smooth Ambler, the 11-year pick, what Remus 5 has in a good way that the others didn't have is like a humongous full-bodied presence on the nose. Like right out of the glass. It's balanced from spice to fruit notes to wood influence to everything. And it hits you all together at once. It's not like the spice sticks out and then something else. Like I mentioned, the Lauralee is more spice-driven, herbal, floral up front. And then everything follows that, which is not a problem. The Remus, to me, though, I like the delivery of it on the nose in particular. And then the OKI was just really boring on the nose. And the Remus is just like a fruit cup. You know, it's like a fruit cup that you left out a little too long, and it just got kind of funky. It's such a good nose. And that's why Remus 5, that's why people love this bottle so much, you know? And I'll actually say, in my opinion, Remus 5, even though SRP was like between 80 and 100 depending, 150 secondary these days, I still feel like this is an undervalued bottle. Like, this is extremely special. The palate proves it. That is, in terms of palate experience, let's say, it's the best that I've tasted so far. And then the flavor notes are going to come down to preference, because if you're a Four Roses lover, in my mind, you're going to love this Lauralee. But an MGP diehard, that Remus 5 is fantastic. Yeah, I know it did. J Skaggs, I was like sitting here refreshing on my computer and on my phone. I was ready to go, getting those Lauralees. The other good thing about doing this, guys, this comparison, is not only doing the side-by-sides of each and trying to figure out, you know, piecing this thing together as I go, but it's also really nice because this gives the Lauralee a lot of airtime in the glass. Like, we've been sitting here for 40 minutes. This has been poured out for probably 30, and it's going to continue developing as it sits out, and I think that's what's really cool about doing something like this. Joe, what's up, man? Thanks for the $15 super chat. Let me get you in real quick. All right, gotcha. They're going to have to claw the 5 backup bottles of Remus Repeal 5 at $75 each. Dude, you're set for... You're either set for like the next couple years or for like a month, depending on how you handle that. Justin says, the Lauralee barrels were filled on July 7th of 06. Remus 5 is great. Great bottle, great price. And another thing for everybody just to consider is that Remus 5 is the in-house brand. So their options of what barrels they use are, I'm not going to say endless, but they have options. And, you know, this being a 6-barrel blend, it's much more of a particular bespoke, whatever word you want to use, profile. And plus, like, this is not really a comparison in my mind between those two. These are just different. What's kind of funny is that the Lauralee drinks like a higher proof than the Remus 5, in my opinion. In particular because of the spice. So now let's go on I'm going to skip Volstead. We'll come back. We're going to go to New Riff 15, which from an age perspective is the most direct comparison to the Lauralee. What's up, Hendo? Thanks for jumping in here, man. So let's go to the New Riff 15. Now, this is an interesting one because, yes, it's bottled in bond. This was released, 900 bottles essentially released for the restaurant industry when the vid took over. The mash bill on the back, though, 60 corn, 35 rye, and 5 barley. So this is a 1% difference in the rye and barley content than there are 36 rye mash bill. I don't know what's up with that. If this is just a different run, if they did a run of 35% rye, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So let's go to the New Riff 15. Jeffrey Wack, what's up, dude? Hello again, whiskey friend. Now, the New Riff is not that exciting on the nose. Yeah, it smells like the excuse me, it smells like the OKI in the sense that you almost would not realize you're smelling whiskey in the glass. It's like it's not there. Hell, even the OKI has a little bit more presence in it now. That New Riff is flat as a pancake on the nose. And that's why, honestly, this still has half of, the bottle's still half full, is because every time I come to this thing, I'm like, maybe it'll change next time. It's flat. I'm glad they released this bottle for the restaurant industry. It was being flipped for $800 on secondary at one point. What is that, man? If you smell this, you're like, that's a $70 whiskey, you know? Flat on the palate. Wow. That is strange. There are a few good, heavy, dark notes in it. It's almost like a little bit of a syrup note. Like, I don't want to say maple syrup, but some sort of syrupy note in that. That's dark. It's very nice, but that's not even... No. Now, let's go back to the Lauralee real quick, and then we'll finish this up with the Remus Volstead comparison, and then move on to the next part of the stream. One thing I want to call out in the Lauralee, which is something I've actually, interestingly enough, gotten on, I believe, every Maryland Heritage bottle, is a ginger note. And it's a little bit of a strange note for me because it has like a... This might sound negative. I don't know if it's negative. It has a stale quality to it. It's like it's a ginger note, but it doesn't smell like fresh, if that makes sense. It smells kind of tamped down and dull a little bit. And I've been getting that on all the Maryland Heritage ryes. I think the Sherwood I get it the least on. The Mount Vernon I get it the most on. Mount Vernon has this really dark profile, dark black cherry, burnt notes. It's very nice. But the fact that I'm also getting it on the bourbon is interesting. Like, I don't know what similarity we would have between those. Because it's not a note that I get on a lot of aged MGP stuff. I haven't gotten it on any of these other bottles. But it's this ginger note. So if you guys have the Maryland Heritage stuff or this Lauralee, keep an eye out for that note and see if you can find it. Allview says, Justin says, back then Seagram's only had 3 mash bills, which was the 21 rye, the 36 rye, and the 95 rye. And this is what's so crazy. Well, let me not say that real quick. We'll come back to that. Jeffrey says the first New Riff 15 that sold on secondary went for $1,200. Hour later, it was $100. Then it was $800. Now it's around $500. There is a reason. It's not a great bottle. It's I send this to people in blinds to completely trick them. Because they'll drink it and be like, oh, it's like a 7-year whiskey. You know, oh, it's a 6-year whiskey or something. And proof-wise, this thing tastes like a 90 proofer or less. Oh, hour later it was 1,000, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Dropping down to 100. What's up, Marty? Thanks for jumping in, man. You know I like a ginger note, Tommy D. What's up, man? Hey, guys. 76 in the chat. It's awesome. Thank you for being here. Even if you're just here until like time goes on, I totally understand. You got to jump around. Hit up all the live streams. You know, Thursday's a busy night for Whiskey Tube. But at any rate, I appreciate you being here for any amount of time. While you're here, before you go at any point, please hit that like button. Really, really helps out. It's free. It's easy. And I would appreciate it so much. Oh, Nancy Fraley's in the house. What is up, Nancy? Cam, do you know where it was matured? That could possibly count for the... I believe the Lauralee barrels were all 16 years at MGP. But Justin, from All View Liquors here, can identify that or clarify that. Yeah, might also depend on the yeast strain. Good point. Not all the barrels we bought worked well together. Lauralee took a long time to blend to get right. Would love to talk about it. And George Fotis, apologies on the pronunciation, is the mad scientist behind the blends. They have dusty notes that need airtime. They change. Would love for you to do a full review. Yeah. Let's do it. I mean, let's do a stream together. Let's get on and do a stream. Yeah, let's do it. We'll get in touch. If you want to, the easiest way to get in touch with me about anything whiskey is to shoot an email here. I hate to put it on you to do it. I might forget right after the stream. Things are a little crazy right now, but if you reach out, drumsanddrams@gmail.com, or just send me an Insta message, whatever, that'd be awesome. All right, last one. Last comparison is going to be Lauralee to perhaps my favorite in this entire lineup of these other bottles, the Remus Volstead. Not the Gatsby. I don't have that yet. And I don't know if I'm going to have it. I might try to get a sample first to avoid a possible mistake from what I'm hearing. That is heavenly on the nose. Nancy says, with the yeast strain, for example, V versus Q yeast, etc., will make a big difference. Yeah. Yeah, it's, Nancy, it is interesting. Like, even just doing these 5 MGPs, certainly there's a through thread, you know, that you can tell that they're all MGP. But everyone kind of has their own thing. There are like some that are kind of pairing off, like the OKI and the new Riv 15 are kind of pairing off for me in terms of their profile. Remus 15, the Remus 5, I should say, you know, very full-bodied. The Lauralee, this is one of the most spice-driven MGPs at such a low proof. I've never had really anything like this. And then the Remus Volstead is just oak. This is just 14 years old, but oak. Oh my gosh. Oak and apples. And it's just dark. It's just dark all the way around. As I come back to the Lauralee, just like earlier, that potpourri note is continuing to stand out, and I like it. It's different. Wow. All right, let's try some of this Volstead. Man, what a bottle. There's a little bit of an ashy note in here. Yeah, like an ashtray note, like cigar ash or something. That is nice. I love that. I love how the profile of Remus Volstead stands alone for me. It's distinct. I've not quite had another MGP like it. Very cool. And likewise with the Lauralee, I've never quite had such a spicy one. It's such an herbal, Four Roses type profile. It's so spicy. So here's the deal. Actually, before I say that, this has a remnant of Redemption Rye 18. There's a dusty note that Redemption Rye 18 has, almost a mineral quality. And frankly, in the Redemption Rye 18, it was way too strong for me. I couldn't get behind it. The Lauralee has a little bit of that in it. That's what it's reminding me of. And it actually drinks a little bit more rye forward because of all that spice. So the focus is not these other bottles. It was a cool comparison. The focus is the Lauralee. In my mind, 100% recommend. I think at $200, given the rarity, given the age, the price is right. The seal box, $230. At that point, it's all the same. When you start looking at secondary, $400, $450, $500, what people are trying to move these for, I'm not there with this bottle. To me, it's not a barn burner, and that's kind of what people want when they're going to shell out heavy secondary prices for. To me, this is like a refined, interesting, layered pour, and it's a one-off profile, and I think that's what makes it cool. So I wouldn't recommend shelling out the secondary price for it, but for those of you who have a bottle, I say open it, because I haven't quite had another profile that's here for MGP. Joe, I don't know. I would imagine the answer is probably no, unless they're being saved for some sort of box set later, like the Ryes were. So I don't know. But if Justin's still here, maybe he can answer that. None are single barrels, are they? No, I don't think anything I'm sipping on right now is a single barrel. Let's see, guys. I'm going to catch up in the chat here. Copper Wolf 87 took your advice and splurged on. That's the bottle right there. That's it. If there's a whiskey, there are a few whiskeys I could do this with, but that is one of those bottles, the Desert Island whiskey, or if I could drink one thing for the rest of my life, that's on the list. Some cigar blends. Shout out Nancy. That OGD, I've got a new one now, which is 1977 Ezra Brooks 15 year. I can't even figure out where it was distilled. There are some thoughts of where it could be coming from, but I couldn't find anything definitive online. It's a 15-year, distilled in 1962, Ezra Brooks 15. That is another Desert Island whiskey. And then Chateau de la Baude, of course, King of Kentucky, of course. But that OGD is, that 89 is ridiculous. Yeah, and I'm the $200 price point, that's a little over $10 a year. 6-barrel blend. It checks all the boxes. Eventually, sometimes people are like, I'll never pay more than $70 for a whiskey, and that's like a very admirable thing, but it's not 10 years ago. You know, like things have increased in price, unfortunately. Derek, I am keeping an eye out for this. I didn't even, honestly, I missed the press releases and everything, so I didn't get in on the pre-order, I think is what it was. Kagan Bottle maybe did it. Okay, y'all. Sorry, oh, yeah. Justice, what was the question? What was the question? Sorry, I'm bouncing around. And I have whiskey in my brain. What was the question? Maybe I asked it. Maybe someone else. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're sold out right now. Oh, we do have a single barrel of Lauralee coming down the line. I will do bad things for that. That's awesome. That's very cool. I hope Sealbox gets an allocation so I can try to get my hands on that and refresh for, 10 minutes. All right, cool. This was a great comparison, guys. Reminder of tonight's giveaway is a 1-ounce sample pack of all 5 of these whiskeys that you see in front of me. I promise I won't run out of this. I've got a spare in the basement. And then the other 3 pours that are going to go into each of those 2 prize packs are going to be all 3 of the Maryland Heritage Ryes. So you're going to be able to try everything from the Maryland Heritage series so far, or collection, including this Lauralee, obviously. So that's going to be really cool. All right, so let's get these out of the way. Give me a second. I got to transition over. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm just kidding. Oh. Let's make an epic MGP Infinity blend here. I'll throw the no, I won't throw that in there. I want to keep that cork and barrel or cork and bottle. I don't know what it is. C and B Smooth Ambler 11-year pick. That's got to go back in the sample bottle. Yeah. Basically have an ounce of that left. Thank you, Alex Halverson. If you end up watching this back, I don't think you're in here right now. Thanks for sending that. All right. Sorry, guys. Got to clean up real quick. I'll just move these off to the side. It is blind flight time. And I have been looking forward to doing a blind flight on the channel again for quite a while. Jay Skaggs, sorry I missed this super chat. Great info. Always great to hear the side-by-side comparisons. I'm glad you enjoy it. Sometimes I can go a little too, and get a little too nerdy about it. And it's one of those times where you need to be like, hey man, we're good. Move on. If you guys ever need to say that, please say that. At the end of the day, please remember that I am talking to a live chat, but I'm also just talking to a camera in a room. And sometimes you just forget about pace. It just goes out the window because you're not actually in a real conversation with anybody. So sometimes in the beginning of live streaming, I would go back and rewatch my streams because I was trying to identify like what my pace felt like in the moment and how it actually feels as a viewer. That's like that's something that you don't really talk about, when you start doing the YouTube thing. All right. So let's try this. Okay. Please focus. I really want this to work. Maybe I'll leave a bottle here. Leave a bottle on the front of the table to keep the camera's focus on the center. And that way, if I throw a card in front of it, it'll just stay in focus. Because I am going to be able to show you guys, finally, if you remember any of my old blind flights, I would hold it up back here, but it would not sometimes focus. So I'm going to be able to give you some close-up shots, and I will look away. I'll be able to do it like this, so you can really read what I'm sipping on before I find out at the end of this. Okay. We have 5 pours in tonight's blind flight. Courtesy of Sarah. And she themed it. I said, you don't have to do that, but if you want to, throw a theme in there. And I'll try to guess it, and then I'll reveal the theme to myself at the end after I've already made my guesses. See if any of my answers change, and then go from there. This is going to be a little palate training. Let's just call it Matt Madness preseason workout, right? So we've got our 5 in front of us. I might move some of these bottles away. That's going to be in the way. Okay. All right, guys, let me check out the chat, and then we'll get going. Aiden says, the price I'll pay changes based on what the best thing I've had is, based on my taste. Oh, based on what the best thing I've had costs. My favorite whiskey I've ever had is currently Magnus Cigar Blend, batch 55, so 180 is my max. I'm right there with you. And truthfully, I think that's the right attitude, right? It's like, show me that you're worth the price, that you're worth your SRP, and then your perception of value is going to shift to accommodate something like that. I think that's a good attitude on it, as opposed to the FOMO attitude, which I have and so many other people have about it. Joe says, after watching Minnick's George C. Stagg 2022 review, I have to start Googling. I didn't get through the whole video today. I watched, I think, the first... No, I didn't get through Eagle Rare 17. I just saw like the beginning of that. So that's the third pour of the flight. Carl says his higher dollar bottles are... Yeah, and that makes complete sense to me. Garrett, nerd out, that's the best info. Thank you, Garrett. I appreciate that. Cheers, Roy. Good to see you. Yeah. Amy, so guys, this is the thing. Please, as I show you, again, like this, as I show you what I'm sipping on before I know, please do not spoil it in the chat. That we've never had it happen directly. We've had it happen where people start making jokes about pours that are related to that. Don't do that shit, please. Like, I'm trying to do this. I'm not trying to get all preachy. I try to do it this way where I can show you ahead of time because I think it makes for a more engaging thing so that you know what I'm dealing with as opposed to it nobody knowing until the end. Then you're obligated to, like, pay attention the whole time. I want you to pay attention, but I also... we got things to do. I understand. You come in, you come out. I get that. So please don't spoil it in the chat. Please. Garrett, blind flights are the best way to learn. I 95% of the way agree with that. Yes. Carl, we'll see. That soy sauce thing was so funny. Thankfully, none of these look like... The soy sauce worked because it was in a Black Glen. That's what it was. I was thinking, like, how did that happen? All right, let's get to it. So the goal of this blind flight is for me to put these in an order from my favorite to least favorite. That's going to happen, number one. Number two, along the way, I'm going to take notes. And I'm going to try to guess age, proof, type of whiskey, distillery, and bottle. So 5 things that I want to guess for each bottle. Not going to be a timer, but I'll try to be expeditious with this. So we have ranking them, 5 things for each bottle, and then the theme at the end. All right? And then we'll do a big reveal, draw for the giveaway, and we'll call it a night. So that's what we're doing. Get this set up. Glass A, B, C. Sorry, these are 1, 2, 3, 4s, not A's and B's and C's. So glass 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then theme. I want to make sure I get that. All right. Here we go. I'm going to start on your left with glass 1 here. Oh, that's MGP right away. Okay. I was like, I hope she didn't just pour the 5 bottles I had on the table to do that. I said, don't pour those 5 bottles. I was like, what if she thought I said only pour those 5 bottles? That would have been the most anticlimactic thing ever in the second half of this stream. Now the first one's definitely MGP though. So I can identify that. I've literally only been drinking MGP to this point, and if I'm wrong about that, then I'll take my punishment. That's okay. It's an MGP bourbon. Maybe. Damn it. Now I'm second guessing it. Let me show you guys what it is. All right. So I gotta get it set here. Throw this up, and I'm gonna turn my head. And I promise I'm turning my head. You can hear my voice being far away from the microphone. So this is what's in glass 1. And we're back. Cool. All right. Got to get the infinity glass out of here so I don't confuse myself. All right, so this feels like a high proof. This feels like a high proof MGP kind of whiskey. I'm getting a ton of cinnamon spice, a ton of ethanol. Oh, wow, Roy, $260 for... No. Don't pay that for rare breed nacho filtered. Even secondary on that is 100 to 120 tops. Because it's a 1 liter bottle, so $100 is actually not a bad markup. 120 is like the limit for me. Do not pay $260, man. I'll find you one locally and ship it to you for half that price, okay? Please. Yeah, so this could be a rye actually. Glass 1 could be an MGP. I'm going to have to come back to that. Rye or bourbon. I'm going to say rye probably, but it could be a bourbon. Proof on this. Yeah, there's a lot of like spearmint in here, which is leading me to believe that there's some rye going on. Spearmint, ethanol, cinnamon. Yeah, all of these are rye notes. Spearmint, cinnamon, ethanol. I'm going to write some notes down for each of these. I could also see this being like a Kentucky Owl rye. I know I said I was pretty set on MGP, but I could see that being like a Kentucky Owl rye, possibly. So you guys saw what was in glass 1. I'm going to go on to glass 2 now. I got to get through all these before I can go back and order them, you know? Oh, glass 2 is quite strange. I'm getting chocolate covered bananas on glass 2. Let me write that down and then I'll show you. Chocolate covered bananas. Let's get some jazz on. What do you guys say? I know it's the same playlist. I promise it might take me 3 more weeks until this big solo gig I'm prepping for is done, but I will make some more playlists on here. I promise you that. Yeah, this is smelling like I'm going to say 97 to 100 proof. Chocolate covered bananas. Definite Brown Foreman vibes on this, you know, from that banana note. It almost feels like it's got like some oak to it, like some age. It reminds me of like a Jack Daniel's 10. That's really got a Jack Daniel's 10 kind of profile to it. Isoamyl acetate, says Nancy for glass 2. The cause of the banana notes. Yeah, Daniel, I'm gonna show you glass 2 right now. I already showed glass 1, so let me get glass 2 ready. Let me go here. I'll show the old test card to make sure it's in focus. Boom. All right, let me turn my head and show you glass 2. So there's glass 2, and just as a reminder, here is glass 1. So 1, I don't know exactly if I'm in the frame right now, and then glass 2 is right here. All right, put those away, and I'll turn my head back. There we go. So I guess I'm just kind of on the nose right now. Glass 1 is now coming off. I just really quickly grabbed a little bit of grape on there, which coincides with some MGP vibes. I'm going to take a sip of glass 1. Why not? Ooh, glass 1 is very nice. It's a little ethanol forward for me, but other than that, that's a pretty nice palate. Yeah. I would say proof-wise, that's sitting around 115 for me. It feels like a 115er. I might change my mind when I come back to it. Now let me get a little water sip, and then I'll go to glass 2. By the way, guys, thanks for being here. I'm always nervous about doing blind flights. I'm like, is it going to be engaging enough? You know, is there going to be enough interest to keep people involved? And to see 74 in here, that means a lot. So thank you. I really appreciate you all so much. So, and looks like we got around 70 likes right now, which is very cool. Now, glass 2, while I'm getting a banana note in there, it also could be finished. It also could have like it could have a cognac finish. Maybe. It could have a cognac finish. In the same way, you know, Armagnac. It could have some sort of brandy finish on glass number 2. Which would be hilarious if Nancy's here and there's a finish like that. But on the palate, that's really, really heavy chocolate. And the banana's still there, but the chocolate is taking over the palate. When I said 97 to 100 proof, I think I would stand by that. Yeah. I might have an idea on the theme based on 2 bottle guesses that I'm making in my head. I'm just kind of, and I'll spitball it out loud with you guys. In my head, the possible theme here is that these are 10-year whiskeys. And I don't know if that's the case, but in my mind, if I'm thinking MGP rye in glass 1, this could be like a Redemption 10. And glass 2, I was thinking like chocolate-covered bananas, and I was really feeling like Jack Daniel's 10 because I'm getting those Brown-Forman notes. The possible finish that I'm getting there is throwing me off a bit. But if that's 10, maybe the rest of these are 10. And I will show you the theme. Once I get through all 5 of these, I'll show you the theme before I go back through them, okay? And I order them. But I just want you to... I don't want to show you yet. I'll show you the bottles, but not the theme just yet. Yeah, I mean, I like them both. Jeez. Couldn't be more different, though. Truly. All right, let's go to glass 3. I'll show you in just a second. I want to get a little impression. Nancy, I got to be honest with you. I don't even know what that means. Fusel oils? I don't know what that means. I'm glad I don't, because I'm afraid that if I did know that, that might give me some impression of what glass number 2 is. And I'm trying to avoid any possible spoilers. So I'm actually glad I'm ignorant in this case. Okay, glass 2. A lot of sweet vanilla, cinnamon, like if you had like black cherries in cinnamon or something like that. A little bit of what is that note? Wintergreen, like wintergreen gum. Maybe a rye. Maybe I'm thinking rye. But also a very dark end of 3, like dark chocolate bordering on espresso in number 3. So number 3 is a little bit all over the place for me. Yeah, Nancy, don't tell me just yet. And don't tell me how to pronounce it either. It'll make me sound like an idiot until you do. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to show you guys number 3. Let's get the test card ready. Make sure we're in focus. Sorry about like the logistics of doing this, but I think it does. In the end, it's a better result. Okay, so I'm gonna move this away. Here's number 3. All right, so get a good look at that. I hope I'm not covering anything. I feel like I'm just pinching the top. Check out what number 3 is, and I'll put this down. I'll give you a quick reminder. Here's number 2. And then let me try to fish around. Okay, I got 1. Boom. There's number 1. All right. So just that quick reminder of, again, that is your number 3. And, okay, turn back around here. Test card. 3 feels like it's got some age to it as well. I mean... But it's not as high proof as I... No, the palate fell off. The palate completely fell off there. That is not the proof that I would have imagined given the nose. I mean, it might be the proof I'm imagining, but the palate just felt like less than the nose. So Nose intense. Let's say palate flat. Nose to me was like a 110. Nah, let's say the nose to me was like a 107. And the palate was more like a... Well, and the reason I'm taking detailed notes, guys, is because when I do reveal these, I want to see what the impressions were, like what the full impression for me was, completely blind. Because it might be telling of how that whiskey behaves, you know, when you don't know the label. And also, for future blinds, this is like a scouting, you know? It's like reconnaissance for future blinds that Matt Porter might send in a Matt Madness. The palate of number 3 is like... But I like the notes in that. Jeez Louise. The palate to me is like 94 proof. That's so funky. I might be hedging my bets too much on that. Oh, no way. LCS Jr. Sorry if I'm not saying your screen name correct. I'm a retired professor from RIT, just down the street, 5 or 6 miles from Eastman. Congrats on graduating from there. It's a great school. Yeah, awesome. RIT. A little, I almost said hometown. It's not my hometown, but I do feel a connection to Rochester, you know, having been there for those couple of years. So that's awesome. Kilko, what's up, man? Starting a dry week tomorrow to check in with myself. Good call. Very good. Oh, and I missed this. I'm sorry. I've been watching since the beginning of this live stream, but I'm guessing that as far as following or watching doesn't show up because I'm watching on my TV because we stream everything. Yeah. A little confusing on the wording there. Sorry about that. I've been watching since the beginning of the live stream, but I'm guessing that as far as following or watching doesn't show up because I'm watching my TV. Know anything about that? Now I'm on my phone. Okay, I don't exactly know what you were kind of alluding to there, but sorry about that. You have an awesome palate. Always fun to watch it. Thanks, Carl. And Carter, what's up, Carter? Hey, I tasted. I don't know if you've been here, man. Sorry, guys, I just totally like lulled. I don't know if you've been here, but earlier I tasted that new riff. I was thinking of you today when I got this Lauralee, and I was like, I'm going to throw the new riff in there. And I was going to send you like a comment reply on one of those posts on YouTube and say like, hey, I tasted this. I'm going to do a for real review of it, I promise. This would not be the time to try to do that because it was so flat compared to the other MGPs that I had next to it. Oh, it doesn't count in the number of people watching. I see what you're saying. Sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think it would, but I'm not sure. Okay. So, I don't have enough information on Glass 3 just yet. This one could be MGP also. Whoa. But then if I thought that was MGP and I smell it next to Glass 1, which I am really thinking is MGP, 1 now smells huge, full of flavor, super dark fruit. And 3, yeah, feeling a little thin here. What is happening here? Hang on. I'm going to go ask Sarah something. Hey. You didn't just pour the 5 on the table, did you? I don't know. Well, they all kind of, they're reminding me of what I was tasting. Oh, Jesus. She's smart. She was like, yeah, I thought they would remind you of what you were tasting. She's trying to mess with me. Oh, good Lord. I'm smelling them. I'm like, wait, is that MGP? Wait, is that MGP? Wait. Okay. Carter's, you're at your son's football game. Yeah. Well, it wasn't, I'll tell you, it wasn't in depth enough maybe on that particular pour, but But I am going to do a review of that. I do promise you that. It might be in the next, this is going to sound so corporate, 4 to 6 weeks. But I have a plan for the next 3 weeks of what I want to get released. And it's not in that plan, so I will make it right after that plan. Let's put it that way. Dana says, no, she didn't pour the ones on the table. Oh, okay. I think I just had a revelation on glass 3. What is that? Oh, what is that profile? Oh, is it Michter's? Oh, is that Michter's 10 Rye? Oh, that might be Michter's 10 Rye. It's something popped into my brain and says Michter's, and I've learned to just go with first impressions. So I'm going to go Michter's on that. At least for now. It might not be, but that's at least I have a place to start with sample 3 now. Jeez. Look at this friggin' nerd in the chat. Jeez Louise. Okay, we got to get to glass 4 now. We're doing good. It's 9:23. We're doing great on time. I feel like I'm trying to keep the pace, you know. Garrett says you should bring in the drums part to express what you think of the pour through sound. Can you imagine, like, okay, here's the thing. Can you imagine you get a room full of people and would you have to do it? I don't think you would need to do it blind. No, you don't need to do it blind. But like you have a flight of whiskeys and you go and you do whiskey number 1 and I have like an array of instruments and you just like improvise to what you're smelling and tasting. It's like, that would be very contemporary. Very avant-garde is the way to put it. We could do it. We could try it. It would not be very, wouldn't really translate online, I think. Nancy says, you do have an, oh, thank you, Nancy. I'm really enjoying your analysis of these samples. I'm doing my best. I am doing my best. Look at all this nerd talk in the chat. Freaking. And you know what I bet? You know what I bet this nerd did? I bet he jumped in the chat to say that and he left. Just to try to just stir it a little bit and then bounce. If he doesn't reply, then he wins, right? If we're all here saying, you're a nerd, and he never replies to that and he's already gotten out of here, he won. That's what he wants. We're feeding into what this nerd wants. And I am also doing that right now by saying that. Matthew, if that's the case, I want a whiskey that makes me blast beat. just drink some 150 proof Obtanium. Interpretive whiskey percussion. Oh, okay. Merch. I need to have a shirt, no context, and it's just letters, and it says interpretive whiskey percussion, and that's it. Or it should say, ask me about my interpretive whiskey percussion. All right, let's go to glass 4. Sorry. What am I saying? MGP? I don't know. This smells like MGP too. I'm going to just take a sip first. Oh, that's good. Oh, I think she poured good stuff here. Ooh. Oh my God, that is good. Oh my Lord. Okay, I'm going to show you guys number 4. If this is like a $20 bottle or a $30 bottle, go buy all of them right now. That is incredible. Here, let me get the test card here. Okay, we're in focus. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. We're in focus. Now here comes glass number 4 over the test card. So there is what we have in glass number 4. Let me put this down now. Get the test card out. And, okay, we're back. So that's glass 4. Oh, my goodness. Okay, proof on 4. There's some proof there. The second sip started drinking easier, but that's hitting me like a 120. It's between 115 and 120. I'm going to say 120, but I'm going to mark down 115 to 120. Okay? Age, this has some good age to it. It has to. I'm feeling like this is an MGP bourbon. Although it could be a rye. You know, Oh. I said these could be 10-year whiskeys earlier. And I said that could be Redemption Rye. It's not. There's no way in hell that's Redemption. I'm completely wrong about glass 1. That's not MGP. There's no way that could be MGP. But, okay, for instance, let's say that that's the case. If glass 2 is Jack Daniel's 10, and that's a 10-year whiskey, and then glass 3, I said I thought it could be a Michter's 10 Rye. I'm iffy, but in that, going down the line is tough. If that would be Michter's 10 Rye, compared to the other 2 ahead of it, would be really a tough comparison. Glass 4, if this is some sort of MGP bourbon, high rye bourbon. It could be Redemption. This could be a Redemption 10 high rye bourbon. I'm not even going to turn around to look. I think that's a 10. I don't think that's 9. That could be a 10-year Redemption high rye bourbon. I was going to say it smells like an MGP single barrel that I have, the Smoke Wagon Hot and Spicy, but that's 9 years old. And okay, so if I'm going to roll with the fact that this would be 10-year whiskeys, now I'm starting to think thematically, and if I'm wrong there, then I could screw my guesses up. But let's just... If glass 1 needed to be a 10-year whiskey, like, what would it be? That's... If they are all 10-year whiskeys, that's the wild card for me is glass 1. Yeah, that's the wild card. So, all right, I'm not going to keep going on this theory too much because I just don't know yet. Let's go to glass 5. Oh, that's different. I need some water. Thank you, Uta, for reminding me. We have a group of 7, sometimes 8 retired professors who are bourbon enthusiasts. We get together monthly to share. That is awesome. That is awesome. My favorite nights are getting together. Well, one, my favorite nights are sharing bourbon with my wife, but she doesn't like to drink too much. She's real careful about it, which kudos to her. She's a stronger person I am. I love to be able to share really good stuff with her. Like I get giddy. The other night Tuesday night, I believe it was, we had, our flight was a 1969 President's Choice, a 1977 Ezra Brooks 15, and a 1989 Grandad 114. We did a little, like 3/4 of an ounce pours of each. We shared them. It's awesome. My favorite sharing with her. Second favorite is like to get together with some friends and do it. And I don't get to do that very much anymore. I've just been too busy, but I look forward to the day that I get to bring some people over and do another whiskey night. I love that. It's so fun. Kilko, sorry I missed this, man. Going in for the one shot. Glad to see you enjoying all the whiskey. I have so many bottles and videos to do still. I know. It gets daunting when you look at how many reviews you want to make. Sometimes I get, analysis paralysis, and I just don't do anything, and it's like, just choose one and do it. I got to tell myself that. Garrett says, which one is Eagle Rare? 0 of these are Eagle Rare. And I did have King of Kentucky Tuesday. I had that before we went and had that flight, so... What was Tuesday? So it was Four Roses Single Barrel, King of Kentucky, and then Dusty Town. It's awesome. What's up, Big Vic? Good to see you, man. Cheers to you. Okay, glass 5. This is a little more tame. There's a little hairspray note on glass 5. Why is that? Taking my notes. God bless America. That smells like MGP too. Am I broken? Am I just in MGP land? No. Glass 3. I'm telling you, when I come off of that and I go to glass 3, that is Michter's. That has that Michter's funk to it. You know what? It could be the Michter's 10 Rye. It could also be the Michter's Toasted Barrel Bourbon, because I'm getting this kind of that rubbery thing I don't like on the Michter's Toasted products. I'm not here for this. I'm here for glass 5. Back to that. There's a lot of orange in glass 5. A lot of citrus notes. Wow. That's a lot. Hairspray's right. That's soapy. What do I have that tastes like that? I don't want to turn around and look, because I don't want to even see what bottles may have moved, or ones that I even think could have moved, even if they didn't. That is a soapy ass whiskey. Oh, I don't know about that. I like how present it is, how strong and intense. Wow. That takes your breath away. Just like Sarah. If you're watching, Sarah, I love you. I don't know if she just laughed or if that was a different sound. Top Dog says, I still don't see Paul. I'm in for one more. Thank you, Top Dog. Let me get you in here for one more. Appreciate you, man. All right. Not to get cry-eyed or anything like that, but do what you can to get together with your friends. At my age, I've lost so many of them. I regret the times when we were going to get together and we didn't. Well, that's good advice. That's a good life lesson, I think, you know. And something I've been really struggling with is our priorities and putting the important things first, and instead of putting pressure on yourself to do as much as you can at any given time at 110% and never sleeping and all this, it's like, dial it all back, see your family, see your friends. And that's what I'm looking forward to in the next couple of weeks, making some big changes, which I'm very excited about, which started, for those of you who have been, watching the channel for a while, which started on Tuesday with the signing of a new contract and kind of reestablishing some priorities in my life, which is huge. Yeah, Amy, thank you for that. Don't forget the awesome giveaway tonight. Details in the scroll at the bottom of the video. Tonight's giveaway, I don't want to pull all the bottles back out. Remus Volstead, New Riff 15, Remus Repeal 5, and OKI Batch 27, the new Lauralee 16-year. And all 3 ryes in the Maryland Heritage Rye Collection, all 14-year MGP ryes. It's an entire MGP, 8 sample flight, 1 ounces of each, 2 winners. That's the giveaway tonight. Carl, when we sent Octomore 8.1, which I might I'm going to take 15 seconds, and if I can't find it, I'll come back. Well, all I can find of the Octomores that you sent me, I have almost a full ounce of the 6.1 and about 2/3 of an ounce of the 7.1. But I in that 2 seconds I was back there, I couldn't find the 8.1. Bubblegum. I said bubblegum on an Octomore. My palate must have been really used to peat at that time. Good God. Amy, I love you, Amy. Thank you. You had me at MGP. You guys see that big gold belt in the background? Well earned. Cheers. Cheers to you, Amy. Thanks. I get giddy about that belt because, sorry, you probably just saw me just smiling like that shit-eating grin. I get giddy about the belt because just being a UFC fanboy, like just to have that belt, I know it's not a UFC belt, but I just love it. It's a great, Matt Porter, the Matt Madness thing, it's awesome. It's awesome. All right. All right, I got to go back to 5. God, 5 is young oak, like the lumber section of a Home Depot wood, that kind of thing. I'm just gonna write lumber. That soapiness. I mean, yeah, there's candied orange, but at what cost? At what cost? Garrett, did you headshot every proof? For what exactly? Matt Madness or what? Are you talking about this flight? Ooh. So, in terms of, I like how intense 5 is. God, I like the notes aren't great, but the intensity is what is doing it for me. I don't know the spot you're talking about, unfortunately. So where did I live? I actually lived right across the street from Eastman when I was in town. 328 East Main. It was a big apartment building. University Place, I think is what the building was called. And I lived in apartment 420, which is hilarious. If I smoked weed, it would be like epic that I lived in apartment 420, but I don't smoke weed. So, not that matters either way. I don't care what you do. But I always thought it was funny that I was in apartment 420. Maybe it made my parents a little uneasy or something. Oh, I don't think I showed 5 to you guys. I'm so sorry, Joe. Oh, the origin of the garbage plate. Yeah, I was never there. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'll show you 5. Sorry, I got a little off track there. Thank you for keeping me on. I need this. Okay, we got the test card. We're in focus, and boom, there's 5. So that is what is in number 5. Okay. Thanks for the reminder. Carl, see you later, man. Top Dog, camp tomorrow. I'm drinking with Josh. Should I remind him who has the... No, man. Look, Josh was not up against me. We were on the same... It was like the same round. It was like a doubleheader round or something, but I was not against Josh. I was against somebody else in that round. Was it Grease in that round that I knocked out? I can't remember. I really can't remember. I'd have to go back and look. I think my first round was against Clifton and somebody else. Kira? Was it Clifton and Kira in the first round? Because I had a bye week in the very The very initial week was a bye week for me, and then I jumped in the quarterfinals, I think against Kira and Clifton. Oh, Lido. Dude, how did I miss this? Holy shnikes, dude. $40 super chat, Lido. Thank you, man. 8 entries into tonight's sample giveaway. I appreciate that. I'm back from my sabbatical. Cheers. It's good to have you back, man. Nancy says, Cam, the soapy note on number 5. Probably from saponification, which means the bourbon had a lot of fatty acids and were reduced from barrel to bottling strength too fast. I could see that, Nancy. The other thing about it, though, is it seems pretty high proof, and I wonder if this is cask strength. And then at that point, I would ask you, what would cause saponification if not a reduction that's too fast? Is there something else that would cause that? Or is that just simply a distillate thing, a flavor profile thing that's going to come from distillate yeast strain, etc.? Come on, man. Please don't give... Top Dog, please do not give Josh any crap on my behalf. Please. Oh, man. LCS Jr., I'm sorry if I'm not quite saying that the way that should be said. Your screen name. Thank you for the super chat, my man. I appreciate it. I'll get you in here. You are entered, and of course, we'll do the drawing at the end of the stream. This will be a fun reveal. Oh, I don't know, man. I'm nervous about this. All right. So you've seen all 5. I have some notes on all 5. I need to get like an age and proof estimate on this last one. As sharp and intense as number 5 is, there does seem to be, I'm not going to say a lot of age to it, but it's actually improving quite a bit. I need to drink something else so that I can correctly judge that. I'm getting too used to that profile. Nancy says fast reduction with lots of fatty acids causes saponification, but yes, the yeast strain might also be causing that soapy note as well. Okay. All right, so I need to put these in an order, and I will order them, and then I'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite. That's the way that I'll do the reveal, okay? So let me do one final go around. Let me show you guys. You've seen all 5. You might already know the theme. But I'm going to show you the theme. Please don't spoil it, okay? So here we go. Here, get this last test card up here. Okay, and now here comes the theme. Hope you can read that. So that is the theme. I have absolutely no idea, like, how detailed she was or how whiskey-centric it was or age or, whatever it might be. All right, now let me get this out of the way so I can turn around. There we go. All right. So let me get these in an order. Excuse me. Got the bourbon belches right now. I love glass 1, guys. Apologies for the radio silence. Whoa, glass 4. In your face. I think first place could be between glasses 1 and 4. Here's the deal with glass 2. I'm going to bottle guess glass 2 is Jack Daniel's 10. I'm going to just say that right now. But I like Jack Daniel's 10. I like to drink it. In a flight like this, the banana note stands out so much to me that I'm like, I don't know if I could put this in comparison to these others. I might just have to sink it down to 4th place, because 5th place is possibly glass 5. Although maybe not. It's just because the banana note stands out so much. I'm like, that's such a mood thing, you know? Unfortunately, in this flight, glass 3 is just, the proof is too low to compete. And I'm trying to get away from comparing based on proof. But it's kind of hard to do that. Huh. Huh. All right. Sorry. I just need a second, guys. Let me just check the chat. This is Aiden. That's hilarious, man. Nancy says usually 92 proof is the point at which the ponification will happen if it's going to, but it might be a little higher depending upon the amount of fatty acids. Okay. Sorry about this last part. If you've ever seen me do a blind like this, especially where I have to rank things, ranking is really hard for me. Especially when it's bottles that I know, like Sarah chose from bottles within this room. Naturally, your mind starts drifting to things it could possibly be. Whereas if somebody just sent me 5 pours, I am thinking about bottle guesses and distillery guesses, but I'm not thinking about it as much when I have a room to narrow it down within. Copper Wolf, thank you. Thank you for 2 more entries into the giveaway. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Get you in there. Yeah, I know. That's how I'm feeling. So 3 is tough because it's just not standing up. Yeah, I love it, but it's just not standing up. So one is awesome. I'm going to go to 4 next. The palate on 4 is so intense. Wow, it's really nice, but I think I like the flavors on 1. And this is going to be a totally subjective thing. It's not going to be like what whiskey is the best. It's going to be what do I like the best in this flight. Okay. All right, I think I have an order. It's going to be 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. 1, 4, 2, 3, 5. All right. So let's do this. Glass 5. Glass 5, I said... At first I said tame. It's not tame. Must have been coming off of something. I was coming off of glass 4, which was, to me, super high proof, comparatively. So I'm going to eliminate that note. I said hairspray, lumber, soap, candied orange. I'm feeling 5 is a rye. Proof, 120. Age, 6 years. What else do I need to guess? Distillery and bottle. It's so soapy. I'm going to say it's MGP, and I don't have a label guess for this, so I don't know. So anyways, let's see glass number 5. Actually, before I do this, should I reveal the theme to myself, or should I do all the bottles first, guys? Should I reveal the theme right now, or go through the bottles and theme at the end? Oh, is this the order I want, though? I'm having a hard time here. 5 is so... I kept saying I really like the intensity. It's just the soapy note that's killing me on it. And I hang on, I did myself a disservice by not comparing this to 1 and 4. It's so hairspray, though. Glock juice, it won't matter. Just like Glock juice just wants the reveal. Five also has a sweaty sock note. Here's what I'm going to say, guys. In this flight of what I'm going to choose to drink, five is last of what I choose to drink. Would I drink it? Yes. The palate is great. It's great. The theme of these is one of two things. It's either rye whiskey, and I'm making some mistakes in my guesses that I'm going to make here moving forward, or it's 10-year whiskeys. Those are my two guesses, because they're not all MGP. They're not all from the same distillery. No way. They're not all the same proof. Those are my guesses. It's either rye or 10 years. So I guess 5, the reveal will let me know. So I'm saying it's a 6-year, 120 MGP rye. Mother effer. And I thought that could have been glass 1 in the beginning. So this is Redemption Rye 10-year. So the 10-year and the rye portion is all intact still. I guessed 6 years on this, and I hedged my bets. Because earlier, I said glass 5 feels like it's actually got some decent age to it, and I hedged my bets. 120 proof, it's 116.2. I'll take that. MGP, I nailed that. And I said this was a rye. So, all right. Glass 3, Michter's 10-year rye. That's the guess. Boom. I got that one. I freaking got that one. Let's go. Okay. So this is still either rise or 10 years, or the theme could be 10-year rise. Holy shit. I don't know if I even have enough of them to do that. Or it could be rise at least 10 years old, or something like that. Or up to 10 years old. It could be either one of those. Glass 2. All right. Glass 2, I said chocolate-covered bananas, 97 to 100 proof. Possibly finished. Could have been a cognac finish. I don't believe that's the case. I'm going to say Jack Daniel's 10-year, 97 proof. Let's go. Yes. Okay. Glass 4. I don't know if I had a bottle guess for this. I didn't have a bottle guess for this. So they're not all, the theme is 10 year. The theme is 10 year. I actually, and I called that at the beginning. Let it be known. Glass 4, I thought this could be MGP High Rye Bourbon, Redemption High Rye Bourbon 10 year. I stand by it. I said between 115 to 120 proof. None of that matters. I'm bottle guessing MGP or Redemption High Rye Bourbon. Oh! Close. I'll give myself that. Smoke Wagon Desert Jewel, 10 year, 104 proof. So I was a little high on the proof on Glass 4. It comes across hot. And that could be that desert magic Aaron talks about. What a great whiskey. So what I put in number 1? I said number 1 was darker and I liked the notes better. And I said number 4, which was in second place, had a better, like it was more intense. So number 1, I hope I didn't screw this up. It's a little flat. Now I'm pissed. Now I wish I could flip these. It's a little flat. Number 1, I said MGP Rye or Bourbon. 115 proof, no way. No way that's 115. I didn't actually have a guess on this. Clearly it's 10 years old, so I didn't have a bottle guess. Oh my God, are you serious? Oh. And I thought that was which one? I thought that was... I would have reversed those. Did she reverse those? Are you awake? Are you sure you didn't reverse Smoke Wagon and Redemption High Rye Bourbon? You're sure? Because 104 proof is drinking hotter than 114. I will. You did it. This was good. I guessed the theme. Yes. 10-year whiskey. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Redemption. Okay, I got to pull these bottles. I got to pull Desert Jewel and Redemption High Rye Bourbon. I'm going to pour these in fresh glasses because I'm having a hard time. The fact that Desert Jewel is drinking hotter than something that is 5% ABV higher. And it's not just drinking a little hotter. It's drinking a good bit. Okay. So how many of these are MGP? 3 of these are MGP. And I think I called all of the MGPs. I called 1, Glass 4, which was the Smoke Wagon. I called in MGP Bourbon. And Glass 5, I called in MGP Rye, which was Redemption Rye. So I called the MGPs. I was good on distillery. I called the Michter Single Barrel bottle. I called the Jack Daniel's 10 bottle. I did say that Glass 4, I believe I said this was... It reminded me of the Smoke Wagon Hot and Spicy. I then changed my answer to the Redemption High Rye Bourbon. Ended up being a Smoke Wagon. It just wasn't Hot and Spicy. It was a Desert Jewel, which was mixed up then. The Redemption High Rye Bourbon, I didn't have a bottle guess for. I have, at the beginning, called it Redemption Rye. I would have then... I changed it at the end to being a bourbon guess after tasting the Redemption Rye at the end, right? So... Good Lord. What a flight. I mean, that is a hard flight. Sorry, guys. I promise I'm going to get to the chat. I have to check in on this because I'm so curious about the difference in these pours. So I want to make sure this Smoke Wagon smells like... That's it. That's it, man. That's Smoke Wagon. And I'm gonna pour this Redemption High Rye. I guess this is an empty glass, but Yeah. Weird. So weird. Crazy. Crazy. I can't believe the redemption won out, but that goes to show. I mean, this flight to me shows that MGP high rye bourbon is I mean, it's just so good. Good God. Okay, I'm going to finally check the chat now. And to celebrate, I'm going to just drink a lot of Smoke Wagon Desert Jewel right now. Because I feel like that was... I am too much of a perfectionist, and I think you guys probably get that impression if you've you know me, if you've seen the channel. I'm very much a perfectionist, and so I feel like I didn't accomplish the goal because those last two, mixing those up, and but I need to keep it in perspective that I bottle guessed 2, distillery guessed all of them. Yeah, I distillery guessed all of them. I bottle guessed 2, and proofs were pretty darn close on the ones that I didn't bottle guess. So, yeah, I'm gonna celebrate with Desert Jewel. All right, I gotta go back. Holy crap. Okay, here we go. So, people, I want maximum chaos. Did you take a stab at the theme? 5 is less. Got the rye. And close to proof. Your wife is laughing. Go get the wife. She's in bed, or she would. If she would come in here, I would go get her. But I know she won't come in here. Yeah, Nancy, Redemption Rye. Yeah, weird. I mean, I've always gotten a lot of like wintergreen. I think I may have even said that on here. But the soapiness on it was really surprising. Mark, yeah, the Lauralee tasting was much earlier. There will be a review of that out. It'll probably take me a good while, probably like 3 or 4 weeks, just based on schedule stuff. Redemption takes first and last, says Aiden. Yeah, the high rye bourbon is lights out, man. Carter, that's awesome that you're stocked up on that. Okay, got that. Nancy, you've got a phenomenal palate cam. Thank you, Nancy. Jeff, I've not seen this. No, I maybe I need to look it up. You guys are really nice in the chat. Thank you so much. Cam the palate, Remington. Never cease to amaze. Crazy, that bell was well earned. Thank you. Can you show a close up of the high rye bottle? Yeah, I can. Scott, let me go cut to this camera. I'll pull this off the screen. Let's get the camera. Camera should focus here in a second. I would hope it would focus. Good Lord, come on. There we go. So it's the squat bottle. 10-year barrel proof, 114.4. Keith says, do you know how hard it is to not say WTF as you're nailing them off the nose? Thanks, Keith, man. Carter says, your initial guesses were right on everything but the Desert Jewel in glass 5. I'll tell you what, Carter, I think my nose is better than my palate. My palate gets confused sometimes. My nose, I can generally get distillery, age, and surprisingly, I can get close to proof on the nose. Palate can start to throw you because here's the thing. When you smell something, when you taste something, sometimes the spice component, just like the Lauralee earlier, like if I tasted Lauralee, I would be like, there's no way that's not 105 proof at least. Smelling it, I might get a different impression. So to me, I feel like my nose is more reliable than my palate in terms of when I'm trying to be analytical in a competition sense. Like if this is a competition, if Matt Madness or something, the nose, I think this is why in the final round, I was guessing stuff off the nose. And I always know, go with your first instinct. So to me, my nose was my first instinct. And I was like, I'm just going to go with that. And I guessed Weller Foolproof. I smelled the glass and I said Weller Foolproof. And I texted it to Sarah. And I guessed another one too out of that. I can't remember what it was, but I guessed 2 off the nose and I sent it to Sarah. So I think my nose, and that shows me my palate does need a little bit of work because it confuses my nose. And Nancy says MGP High Ride 36, one of the best all-time bourbons. Yeah, comes online much sooner than the 21% bourbon. Yeah, the 36 is amazing, Nancy. Jev, yeah, dude, I got the rosy cheeks, but the bottle guesses were the guesses were intact. Daniel says Venmo 4 entries. Let me get you, Daniel. Yes. Daniel says, great stream, man. Your palate and whiskey memory is insane. Thank you, dude. I'll get you in here for 4. And we have to do that giveaway here in just a second, guys. So let me check the time. I put Daniel in here. What is it? It's 10:08. I went a little over. Nancy, yeah, I can totally send it to you. Nancy, I sent you an email the other day about Scott in the chat, or he was in the chat. I don't know if he's still here. He is still here. So about that sample of cigar blend from the auction from a few months ago. I sent you an email about that. I'll send you an email about the Redemption 10, the rye, and I'll send you a sample of that. And then we can connect on the stuff about Scott. And just, you know, we'll chat in the emails about everything. Let me see. Nancy email about sending Redemption. I'm just going to make a note of this real quick. Okay, sorry, guys. There we go. Oh, sorry. I spoke too soon, Nancy. I'm slow. I wasn't moving down the chat, so I see this now. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Nancy. Numinium, $5 super chat. I got you. I'll get you in here. Hey, guys, so we're going to cut super chats off. Let's say 10:12 Eastern time, okay? So that leaves about 2.5 minutes for super chat. So 10:12, you're cut off for 2 sample pack giveaways. Remus Volstead, OKI batch 27, New Riff 15-year MGP, Remus Repeal batch 5, Lauralee 16-year MGP, and all 3 14-year ryes from the Maryland Heritage Collection. 2 winners, 1 ounce sample of everything. Each winner gets 8 1-ounce samples of some of the best MGP that's being made right now, or has been made in the last 5 years. 5 years before that, it would be a bunch of Smooth Ambler Old Scout picks, but I don't have those. And now I'm going to drink a little more Desert Jewel. Thank you all so much for being here, for checking this out. I appreciate you so much. Thanks to Nancy Fraley for hanging out too. It's always cool to see an industry legend hanging out in the in the live chat. Really, really cool. And I'm feeling good about the guesses, you know? Still work to be done. Amy Bohm is sending me and Trev a flight, and we're going to be doing a live stream here soon for a blind flight challenge from Amy, and I'm very excited about that, to get a flight from somebody whose collection I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Aiden. And thank you, Amy, for both of you saying that. Oh, wait, sorry. I thought both of those came from Amy. Aiden, I don't know who you're saying is a legend for sure. I'm not taking credit for that. Sorry. Amy, thank you for saying that the sample packs are legit. There we go. I'm not going to misread anything and think that Aiden was saying that. Jeb, what was your verdict? My verdict is open the bottle if you've got it. It's also do not spend $400 on secondary for it, but that it's unique enough for what it is. Very off profile. It's like Four Roses meets MGP. It's so weird and extremely spicy and herbal. Not the most viscous palate, but I think it's really cool, and I think I'm going to keep my backup bottle. Let me have a little smell. Yeah. Yeah. Nancy's a legend. Yes, Nancy is a legend. I am not claiming your comment, Aiden. Please. I saw 2 A's in a row, and I was like, I thought Amy was saying that my sample packs were a legend. I was like, that would be a very nice thing to say. Thank you, Darrell. All right, what are we at time-wise? Boom, we're cut off with Super Chat, so let's get into it here. We have 54 entries, everybody. I am going to do one final check, Venmo, PayPal, to make sure I did not miss anybody. And I did not. And I'm going to scroll back in the list just very quickly to make sure I'm good. Numinium, I got. Who else do we have here? LCS Junior, Copper Wolf, I got that entry. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. Amy, I got you in for 4. Yep. Top Dog. And before here, I was cooking. I got up to Kilco. So we're good. Let's do the giveaway, guys. I'm going to share my screen with all of you. There it is. Oh, Nancy, I'll see you later. Thanks for jumping in here. I appreciate you a lot. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. And Jeb got a store pick of Wyoming whiskey. I've never had any Wyoming whiskey, so maybe one of these days I'm going to have to get my hands on some of that stuff. I'll twist Nancy's arm. I'm just kidding. More like beg. All right, let's get everybody. I'll share my screen now. Remove this. So you can see the list I've been keeping, courtesy spreadsheet courtesy of Amy. Random.org, plugging everybody in. There you go. All 54 entries, I believe. We're going to randomize 7 times. First 2 people, no duplicate winners. First 2 people wins. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cheers. Thank you guys so much for being here. Here's 7. Boom. Copper Wolf and Amy Bohm. Copper Wolf and Amy Bohm. Congratulations to both of you. Let me write this in my phone very quickly so I don't forget. Sample packs. And what is today's date? 10, I think 27. Amy Bohm and Copper Wolf. Amy, I've got your information. Copper Wolf, shoot me an email. Drumsanddrams, spell that right, at gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know that you won. Just shoot me your address. And I'll get those samples to you ASAP. I owe both of you samples. Darrell, I'm going to send you some more stuff if you're still here. Send you some more stuff I want you to try. Paul Graham, I'm going to get that C922. I know he's not here right now. I'll get that C922 to Paul. From last week, I'm a little delayed on that. I do apologize. And that's that. Daniel, I know you're Daniel's number 3. Daniel, I think I owe you a message, man. I'll shoot you a text. I'm gonna remind myself here for something. Okay, cool. All right, thank you guys for being here. We're going to wrap up here in just a second. Just a second. I want to have a final sip. Let's see. I want to have a little more of this Lauralee to end the stream. Oh, Amy says, please send the Maryland series samples to Daniel. I have those samples from 2290 already. You got it. And Amy, I want to be sure. Do you mean all 4, the 3 Rye and the Lauralee? If you haven't had the Lauralee, I'll gladly send you the Lauralee and send Daniel everything as well. Just let me know. Yeah, I want to have one final pour of this Lauralee before we get out of here. I had something else to say. I got to jog my memory here. I don't have a Lauralee. Okay, so I'll send you the Lauralee, and I'll send Daniel the 3 Ryes and the Lauralee. 3 Ryes and Lauralee. There we go. And Amy, I'll throw some other stuff in your sample pack then. No Maryland Ryes. I'll send you other stuff. Good stuff. There we go. Garrett, it's my pleasure, man. Okay, so I'm back to the Lauralee. I've had a lot of whiskey tonight. I will say this though. Yes, I'm tipsy. I've had a good bit of whiskey, but I've also had very small sips and small pours. My palate right now is still intact. In terms of note recognition, proof, age recognition, I'm still there. 2 ounces from now, I won't be there, but Lauralee next to Smoke Wagon Desert Jewel. It's crazy when Desert Jewel is the higher proof of a comparison. You know what I mean? It's only 104. That ginger note in the Lauralee with all of that spice. The ginger note is crazy. Now over to Desert Jewel. A lot funkier, a lot earthier. A lot more vanilla. And just darker fruit profile than the orange and vanilla from earlier on the Lauralee. And it drinks way hotter than 104. I really like the Lauralee for what it is. But don't put the Lauralee in a comparison to other like cask strength 125 proof whiskeys. That's not what this is meant for. Scott, depends on the age of the Blue Note store pick. The 17s are Dickel, but honestly, they're pretty good. And if you're not sensitive to Dickel notes, the 17-year store picks are incredible. The Juke joint picks, I'm looking at a few right now, which are from Green River Distilling in Owensboro. Generally like 4 to 5 years old, I believe. Those are extremely bright candy butterscotch notes. I tend to get a buttered lobster note. I know that's weird, but I get a buttered lobster note and cinnamon on a lot of these Green River 4 to 5 year whiskeys. I like them. I think the value is impeccable, and availability is pretty darn good too. Now, the 9 to 10 year picks, I don't know much about. I think they're Dickel, but I'm not entirely sure. Jeb says, okay, I reserve. Go for it. Whew, okay. Hang on. So if this tells you anything, Jeb, I got rid of my open bottle. I kept 100 mils in this flask, and I got rid of my open. So that's, and it hasn't been opened. Fresh crack. Ooh, there's a little root beer note in that. There's a little, like, the old Louisville batch 1 had a root beer note to it, like a root beer float left out in the sun. Got a little weird. Just off the rip of this flask, I'm getting that kind of root beer thing. So let me clear a glass and I'll taste it real quick. Putting the old palate to the test. And Garrett Willette says, do you have a Kentucky Owl 10-year rye? I have, yeah. Yes, I do. I have a batch 3. So let me know what batch yours is. I have a batch 3, 114 proof 10-year rye from Kentucky Owl. I do. Okay. So Jeb, okay, I reserve. Let me get this poured out. 58 still hanging out even after the giveaway. That's awesome. I appreciate y'all. So Jeb, when I did my review video for OK I Reserve, Not a fan. So I'm coming into it with that assumption. I'm going to try to clear my mind of that and just, what's the word? Basically make a judgment on what I'm getting right now and not come in with any preconceptions. I'm going to do my best. Garrett has a batch 3. Garrett, do you want me to taste that? I will. These can be my last 2 sips. I can do the Kentucky Owl if you want. All right, so Jeb, this has 5 different MGP mash bills in it. The OKI Reserve. It has the 8515 corn whiskey. It has, I believe does it have the 99.1 corn whiskey as well? At the very least, it has 95.5 rye. It has 21% bourbon, 36% bourbon. I believe those are the 5 mash bills. To me, it was confused. It weirdly flat. It was just fighting itself. Now, after tonight, I've had a lot of really great MGP whiskey. The high rye bourbon, super dark notes. The Desert Jewel was amazing, pretty intense. Redemption rye, not so much, very soapy, orange forward. And then earlier, I had all 5 of those other ones. But all of those, by and large, are fantastic MGP whiskeys. So that's what I'm used to tonight. So now I'm smelling the OKI Reserve. And the OKI Reserve has that root beer note to it, which I did not pick up on ever before. But the old Louisville sample that I tasted on a stream a couple weeks ago has really clued me into that note. Because my mom's in here under my dad's profile. Apologies for raising you and letting your root beer float sit out in the sun. It's Mom, by the way. That's hilarious. So, what am I getting here on this OKI Reserve besides this root beer note? It's dark. Like there's an espresso thing in here for sure. But there's also soil, like wet soil is going on here. That's like a wine note. I feel like I'm calling wine notes in whiskey right now. Some sort of baked good. I'd have to think about what exactly I'm getting here. But it feels dry and spicy, and the wood note in here is like, it feels like there's staves put into it. It's got that raw wood lumber kind of flavor in it. But otherwise, it's really dark. It's just not rewarding on the dark notes. So let me see. Jeb. So, okay, Reserve. Honeyed. Power of suggestion. You know what I'm getting? It's either glazed donut or... It's like, how do you compare a glazed donut and a buttered croissant? It's one of those two things. It's some sort of bread with something spread on it. Does that make sense? Like... Which also relates to me to the root beer float note. Because think about a root beer float. It's like that, the dark root beer note with a little bit of a bitterness and a bite to it, and the really sweet thing. So what we're talking about is like the bread, some sort of bready thing with something spread on it. You're talking about a base and a sweet topping. You can apply that across the board. Root beer float, root beer and ice cream, donut glaze, croissant butter. Like it's that dichotomy or duality, I guess, in the nose. But now I think, Jeb, you're right. And like the notes I was calling, what I really get, what really stands out are these darker notes. The MGP orange note is in there, burnt orange. And this time it is burnt because it's going along with the espresso, with the wet soil, with all of those notes. Now on the palate is where it loses you. It falls off. It's gone already. All that's left is spice, no flavor. The initial punch on the palate, and the reason I believe some people really rated this whiskey high, or highly, is because the initial pop on the palate is so good. And then in a second and a half, no exaggeration, it's gone. Amazing. Gone. Like, that's how fast it is. So that's a weird one. That is a weird one. All right. So for Garrett, I'm going to do Kentucky Owl Batch 3 Rye. By the way, guys, I love, like, Jeb, what you and Garrett, by asking me to taste things like this, I love this. This is my favorite thing. Something I'm not expecting to taste. I haven't tasted in a while. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking before the stream, like the Lauralee, like, oh, I'm going to taste the Lauralee. I'm not thinking about it. It's like, you say it, I grab it, I taste it. This is really fun for me. So, guys, if you ever have any requests, no more tonight, but like on future streams, if you ever want me to give notes on things or do a comparison or give thoughts, please ask, because this is a lot of fun for me, and I'll do my best to be as helpful as I can for your purposes, whatever you're trying to get out of it. Okay. Kentucky Owl Rye Batch 3, 114 proof, or 57% ABV. 10-year age stated. Amy, 3 more likes to get to 100. Wow, that's awesome. Guys, please make that happen. That was not a goal coming into tonight, but let's make it a goal right now. Why not? Cool. A reasonable pour. That's what we need at this hour. All right. The table's a mess now. Now it's just Whiskey Central. So, wow. The Kentucky Owl Rye is even soapier than the Redemption Rye 10-year that I was really not hot on earlier. It's even soapier. So it's just a rye thing, I guess, for some of these. And I don't know. I mean, Kentucky Owl Rye, it's all Kentucky straight rye whiskey. So there's definitely no MGP in here. Huh. Interesting. All right. So, Garrett, let's check this out. Traditionally, I love Kentucky Owl Rye Batch 3. So this is the thing with that Redemption Rye. When I got that soapy note, and it put me off in comparison to everything else in the flight, then I started to find the merit in it. The merit in that pour is the palate. The palate was so good. And drinking it alone, I reach for the Redemption Rye, and I drink it alone. In a flight, it's not doing well, clearly after tonight. Same thing with the Kentucky Owl. Like, this thing, I drink by itself. It's a mood pour, but I don't go to it all the time, and I certainly don't, like, it doesn't do well in flights, from my experience. So it smells like toothpaste. It smells like mint toothpaste. And soap, shampoo. It's got a really, really nice vanilla note, which kind of combines with that toothpaste scent. Cinnamon. Bright cinnamon, really bright, like atomic fireball candy cinnamon. Yeah, and there is there's an outdoorsy quality, like when you walk outside after it rains, and there's that scent. It's damp. It's got that scent to it, petrichor. The palate is where that thing... Oh, man. What a delicious whiskey on the palate. Woo! Wow. So the nose is like toothpaste plus other things that I mentioned. The palate is impeccable. You've gotta want an herbal, spicy, bright, minty rye whiskey, especially minty. If you want those things, that is, oh my God, that's good. So Garrett, pine 100%. Sawdust? I can see that. So the oak, the way that it's manifesting in this whiskey, it's doing two things. And this, I love thinking, and this, you guys are going to see the nerdiness come out right now, and I apologize. I love thinking about how oak interacts with a whiskey. Given the age, given the distillery it's coming from, a lot of factors play into this. In this case, the oak is split. It does two things. Number one, it provides what I talked about as like a damp earth note, like when you walk outside after it rains, petrichor. This note is in there, and that is like this damp undertone to the entire whiskey. It's not like the first thing that you think of when you smell it. You're smelling, toothpaste, mint, pine, all those notes. But there is something underneath it, damp and earthy. But the oak on the other side of it is also providing this really raw wood lumber thing. And I've talked about it already a few times tonight because a couple of these other whiskeys have had it. The Redemption Rye 10-year has it. And there was another one that also had it. But this lumber note, which is also, you can liken it to sawdust. So what's interesting is in a whiskey, when oak does two things to a whiskey that are both completely separate. On the dark end, it's that damp earth. And on the really bright end, it's the sawdust or the lumber. But that's all coming from the oak, from the barrel, from that. That interests me because it's like when you drink a Heaven Hill product, sometimes Heaven Hill, what the oak does to an aged Heaven Hill product, it brings in leather and just musty, like a wet basement, like you walk into a gross basement or something, or an antique shop, brings in that, and it also brings in sweet vanilla. So it's like musty and sweet. This one is earthy and wood, bright wood, Oak is so interesting to me with how it interacts with distillate given a certain amount of time. Sorry about the tirade there, guys. Robbie Bassett, what's up, man? Just got a Kentucky Out Batch 3, and it's so damn good. I like this stuff a lot. I do have a backup in my basement. And my mom and or dad throwing in another $2 super chat. Love you. Yeah, sorry, Garrett. I didn't mean to go off the deep end there, but to me, Kentucky Owl Rye Batch 3 has a lot going on. And I like it, but it's like, to me, this is more of a studious whiskey. Like, I want to sit down with this and dig in and have it be a pour that I spend like an hour with and have a couple of, have a pour, refill my glass one or two times, and just sit with it for an hour and think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a study whiskey. A lot of old Carters are that way too. And that's something that my friend Frank kind of introduced me to. Old Carter Batch 4 was the first one I tried. It's a studious whiskey. It's not straightforward. All right, guys, I'm gonna bounce unless anybody has any final words or last minute requests or comparisons. I could do one more whiskey. Robbie, unfortunately, you're too late on the giveaway, man. I do apologize. I try to take the banner down, this thing, I try to take the scrolly thing down when it's done. We did the giveaway at 10:15, so about 20 minutes ago, man. I appreciate the super chat. I gotta be fair to everybody, unfortunately, and we already did it, so kind of is what it is. Scott, why is Kentucky Owl forced? I have not tried the fourth batch. Okay, so from what I've seen, batch 4 has been $100 more expensive. So this for me on secondary was $190, and that's basically SRP from what I've seen. I've traveled out of state, and I see batch 3 on shelves at $180 or $190. That's what I paid for at secondary to get shipped to my house. I'm cool with that. I've seen batch 4 on shelves for $300, and I'm not going to pay $300 for it. Yeah, and Bill, to that point, I haven't had anything other than batch 3. Yeah, I wouldn't go $300 even for this batch. And generally, when you're looking at a last batch, which is batch 4, and then Dixon was out, like, they're using what they have left, like that. No, and they're using what they have left. And in my mind, from a marketing perspective, they put it in a tube, right? So they got the tube. They're calling it the last batch of rye. So they're driving demand, and then they increase the price by $100. That says that this whiskey is not as good as the last one. That's what that says to me. So I don't know. Garrett, I love the sip of Kentucky Owl 10. I've not had 10. I've only had 9. But I get the same pine sawdust finish on Calumet 16. Where is that at? Calumet 16, I've never gotten a pine note. I get really dark black walnut and super dark. And then there's the bubblegum thing that happens mid-palate. Really weird. I'm trying to get to the finish now, just to check on that sawdust. I don't totally see the sawdust. I just see a lot of oak. And a different kind of oak. And Robbie says, I got my batch. 140 is a great price. And Derek says 1 and 3 are the highest regarded. I've tried 2. I'll be cracking my 3. Yeah. I've heard that 2 is not as good. I would love to try 1, but secondary on that is pretty high. So I'm cool with batch 3. Batch 3, it's a unique rye. It's a singular profile, and I'm okay with it. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce. Wigmaster, 16-year barrel proof pour finish. If it's 16 years at barrel proof and it's copper and cask, so a sourcing operation, probably, I would imagine, what is that, light whiskey? At $80, that's got to be light whiskey finished in port. That would be the only thing to me that makes sense. Light whiskey or like Canadian rye at that price point. So let's just assume that that's light whiskey aged in port. I've never had it. I'm not a light whiskey fan, but finished light whiskey can actually be pretty decent. If you've got to, at that point, it's like, do you really like port finished stuff? If yes, maybe pull the trigger on that. There's no way that it's a 16-year bourbon, Wigmaster, unless the only way it would be that it's George Dickel. That's the only way they could bring the price down to that point. And I'll look it up right now, actually. So what is it? Copper and cask, 16-year port finish. It pulled up orphan barrel stuff. So let me just type in copper and cask, 16-year, and no port finish. Let me just see if they're sourcing any other 16-year. copper. It's still pulling up Copper Tongue Orphan Barrel 16 year. So I don't know. I can't imagine at $80. There's no way. I think that has to be light whiskey. It would probably say American whiskey on it or something along those lines. Yeah. I think it's light whiskey. I think Copper and Cask sources a lot of young MGP, if I'm not mistaken. And Wigmaster, what part of the country are you in? I think that's actually relevant. Oh, come on. It's telling me to enter my birthday on their website. I'm just trying to scroll back enough. I hate those things. It's so silly. Copper and Cask. Bourbon. Let's click on bourbon and see what happens here. Oh, more to come soon, so there's not much on it on the website. Yeah, I don't know. Scott, is Disco 7 a buy for $120? Scott, if you're not a loyalist to Discoveries 1 through 4, specifically 3 and 4, if you're not a loyalist to those two batches and you're not going to judge every other Discovery off of batches 3 and 4, yes, it's a buy at $120. Wigmaster says Connecticut. Yeah, truthfully, I don't know. I have to imagine it is 16-year light whiskey aged in port barrels, which is still not a bad buy at $80. That just, it's still, to me, in my mind, a try before you buy, because a port finish can go a lot of different ways, you know? Tawny, ruby, depends on the kind of port you're talking, depends on how long they leave it in the barrel. Tawny can get really dry, ruby can get too sweet, so you want to just be careful of those factors. Scott loves 4. Yeah, Jeb, I'm also not a light whiskey guy. Scott, 120 is the best you're ever going to find Disco 7. So I know we're losing viewers. 35. It's late. It's all good. This is Disco 7, Scott. It's just strawberry. It's like a white cake with like strawberry filling, which is coming from the light whiskey. What else is in here? 12-year Beam and or Wild Turkey, depending. It's the same mash. A quarter of it is 12-year Barton. Some 7-year MGP Rye. A little bit of Dickel, 17. Buy it at 120. Buy it at 120. I think so. It's not my jam, but I think it's a lot of people's jam. And at 120, that's actually a pretty good price for the Discovery Series. And Jeb, I agree with you 100% on light whiskey. Daniel, yeah, to me, it's really ethanol forward because of the light whiskey, probably. Yeah, it's pretty ethanol forward, but has the candy shop notes, strawberry cake, that kind of thing. And Jeb, I'm also hopeful for 9. I was going to drive down last Friday and get it, but I just didn't have enough time to do it that morning. I'm really excited to try Batch 9, though. And I'm very hopeful for it. Because Batch 8 with the stay finishing, it got so much better with, like, a few months of air. It's still not great, but it did improve. And batch 9 or any other batch in the future that doesn't have stay finishing, I'm just excited for that. As long as it doesn't contain a bunch of light whiskey. Crazy in Bourbon Town. Sorry, I missed your previous comment. What is your favorite wheat mash build bourbon? Of all time, William LaRue Weller, I would have to say. Matt Porter sent me a sample of 2016 William LaRue Weller, which is widely regarded as an excellent batch. That was incredible. In terms of like current or maybe more easy to obtain stuff, the last batch of Larceny Barrel Proof, which I'm going to have a review out this weekend, C922, this last batch of Larceny Barrel Proof is very, very good. It's the first one that I think is really good. And then also over here, I have this 1971 Stitzel Weller Old Fitz at 86 proof from Toshi Bake. And the old wheaters are very interesting and very sweet. It reminds me of some current day Old Fitz decanter releases. So it's really kind of a varied thing. I'm not the biggest wheated mash bill person, to be honest with you. I like hyper-aged high rye bourbon. That's like that's my jam, you know? Scott, to me, in terms of profile, I like a darker profile, so I'm going to say 8 is better than 7, but to me, it's like you got to crack 8 and let it sit open for 3 months, get air in the bottle, and then it's going to be better than 7 for me. So, Darrell, this is interesting, man, because I did a comparison last night. I didn't shoot a video. I just did all of the Larcenies of this last year. And A and B of this year had this, like, fruit note to it. And I know why. I think I know why you like B522, because A had a really bright, it was super fruity, A, but it was sour. It was a bright fruit, but it was, like, sour. Kind of like a Granny Smith apple, I guess. B522 had like a dark fruit note, and it wasn't quite as sour. So it was like dark fruit plus the Larceny profile of baking spices and peanuts and all that. And then C922 had absolutely zero fruit. It was just the traditional Larceny barrel proof profile, baking spices, you know. But it had this maple syrup thing in C922. And I thought the palate on C922, spoiler alert for my review, the palate is really, really good. But if you want fruit notes, B522 is like the best batch yet, because it has not only fruit, but it has dark fruit, whereas A122 is really bright and sour fruit. At least that's the way I kind of saw it. Latte Dad, I've not had Old Fit 17 yet. I really, really want a bottle and or sample, but I'll never find a bottle at this point. The only ones are secondary at like $800, and I don't have the money to try it, so. But if you guys like Larceny B522, here's the deal. All of the 2022 batches of Larceny are completely different. Like A122, like I said, bright sour fruit. B522, dark fruit, a little tangy. And then C922, extremely dark, zero fruit, maple syrup added in. It's extremely varied, and I think whichever batch someone likes, that kind of identifies your profile of what you look for in a bourbon like that. All right, I'm going to bounce. I'm pretty drunk at this point, so it's about that time. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Next video should be Saturday, Sunday at the latest, which is a Larceny C922 review plus A122 and B522 in a final comparison at the end. Michter's 20 is recorded. I just need to edit that video, courtesy of Darrell. Thank you, Darrell. Yeah, and that's it. I don't believe next week. I don't think there's going to be a Tuesday taste along. So we'll have a couple weeks off of Tuesday taste alongs and bring that back. Latte Dat. Oh man. If you want to, I feel very guilty accepting samples of stuff of that quality and price point. If you really want to send it, I'll drop my email address here. If you want to reach out, if you don't reach out, I completely understand. I do not hold that against you. That's really expensive whiskey. But if you send me an email at drumsanddrams@gmail.com, just let me know. I can give you my address and everything. But seriously, even though I appreciate you offering it, even though you did that, there's no obligation, seriously, because that's such an expensive and rare pour. I do appreciate it, though. All right. What am I sipping on this last little sip here? I'm trying to find the Desert Jewel. There we go. All right. Cheers, guys. I will see you all soon. Thank you for hanging out for almost 3 hours. Appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your night and a great weekend as well.